Hey, beautiful women. Shakti here. Really happy and what's the word? Kind of relieved to be here because I've been wanting to make a live into this group for a while now. I've got so many downloads coming through, so many messages to share with you. And once this weekend is over, when I'm teaching my Dancing the Goddess workshop, I'm going to have more time and space to be interacting more with you here in this group. So just want to say thank you to all the beautiful women who've been joining the group recently. Hello and welcome. Welcome to the Awakening Shakti Facebook group. You're so welcome. And, thank you for the information that you share as you join. I always take a look at that information, and I'm going to be doing a series of lives in response to what you say, your questions, your needs, your desires. And today's live, I'm going to be talking to this theme of I'm not woman enough. And I'm really grateful to the client that I'm working with at the moment, an amazing woman who brought this phrase to my attention. And as I was kind of reflecting on this, I'm like, okay, I need to do a live around this. I'm not woman enough. Have you ever had that thought? Have you ever had the thought that you're not woman enough? Not just I'm not good enough, but I'm not woman enough. Have you ever had that thought? Have you ever had that feeling? Have you ever had that experience? I'm sure many of you have, if not most of you. I know I have. For example, I personally was going to speak to my personal experience. When I was growing up, I grew up I was born in 64, so I grew up in the 60s and 70s. And society, I moved back from Germany to the UK. UK was so sexist at the time. You couldn't walk down the street as a teenage girl. Well, I couldn't without being wolf whistled at the whole time. And as I developed physically and went through puberty, my boobs didn't really grow very much, They grew when I was about 9 and they didn't stop. I mean, they did stop. When I was 11, they didn't really get any bigger. I went through puberty very early. And so I was what was called flat-chested, right? And for me in that time, as I looked around at my mum, who had big boobs, at page 3, which was all around me, at the men that my father was, that my father was attracted to, the commentary would always be about their boobs, right? And, without realizing it, unconsciously, my dad and my mum but especially my dad, would be making these comments about, oh, look at her, flat-chested so-and-so, right? And there was I, flat-chested. And so I had this belief about myself that I wasn't woman enough because I didn't have big boobs. And I also saw in going out, it's all right, I'm fine now. I love my boobs and I got over that. But that was, this is me a long time ago. And what I also saw very obviously was that when I would go out to the pub or a club or just walking down the street with my friends with the boobs, particularly if the boobs were in any way evident, were the ones who got attention from the men. And I didn't, right? That was just how it was. And so I drew the conclusion that I wasn't woman enough. Fast forward to a client that I've been working with more recently. And like I said, this amazing woman who's, I don't want to give any personal information away, but let's just say she's a beautiful woman, an incredible woman, really successful and brilliant in her field. And, this line, I'm not woman enough, came up for her as in one of the sessions. I just got to put my glasses on. There's Chris saying I would gladly get rid of my big things. So, of course we have these polarities, like the women who are amply bosomed often find that they get in the way and they're uncomfortable. But basically what you begin to see is it doesn't make the flying fuck. It doesn't, I'm not putting my English together very well here, but it doesn't really make a difference in terms of what kind of woman you are or how you feel. Ultimately, the size of your boobs are not the thing. And this is really important, because this is what I want to talk about. So this client that I've been working with, just to give you another kind of case study, she's beautiful, she's brilliant, really successful, incredible woman. And yet this belief that has come up is, I am not woman enough. Now, why did that thought come up for her? Because the men that she was dating were seeing other women behind her back, and or left her for other women. And then this thing of comparison comes in, and looking at how those women look and doing a comparison and thinking, oh, they're more beautiful, they're more sexy, they're more voluptuous, they have what I don't have. Therefore, I'm not woman enough because he has chosen her over me. And thinking that that choice that he's made is about how she looks physically, right? Now, this is such a beautiful and powerful topic to unpick, because I think it speaks to the insecurities that pretty much every woman alive on this planet has or has had, and sometimes will still get triggered, right? Inevitably. And I'm going to give you my theory on this, and I really hope this is going to hope this is going to help you. So we live in a world that has been shaped and has been determined by a patriarchal thought form. This patriarchal thought form, it's not about blaming men, it's not about hating men. I am not here to hate men or blame them for my wounds, my triggers, and what's going on, but it's just to be aware that this is how the world has been shaped. And this patriarchal thought form is expression of a low vibration, immature, masculine mentality that is not unified with the feminine, and that is unconscious, right? And from that perspective, the unconscious, immature, separated masculine, who is not in union with his feminine side or his feminine self, yes, there is an objectifying, sexualizing viewing of women through that lens, which both men and women adopt. So it doesn't matter if you're a man or you're a woman, that worldview is inculcated into you through society, through culture, through family, through religion. Everything will inculcate that belief system within you, right? Everything that I do is about taking that belief system off your eyes, out of your head and out of your body, basically, and discovering the truth. So when we carry that belief system, then we are looking at ourselves and other women basically through the eyes of an immature, unconscious man who has no connection with his inner feminine. And so then, yes, if we take that as our perspective on life, we only see the superficial, we only see the exterior, we sexualize, we objectify, we don't actually understand, we can't empathize, and we put things into hierarchical ladders of good and bad, above and below, better than, worse than, right? But this is to deny the feminine in all her beauty and power, and this is to separate masculine and feminine, and this is to disconnect from the sacred. So this comparing, this setting yourself up as a competitor with your sisters is part of this dualistic patriarchal programming. This idea that your worth is about your body shape or your body age or the size of your boobs, or how your vagina looks, right? Or how your vulva looks. The belief that this is what determines your worth is part of the patriarchal programming. Sorry, I'm just looking at some notes that I made, and this idea of having an ideal of perfection, which of course you kind of know, but you don't know. It's like there's this cognitive dissonance that goes on, that is going on in the world about other things at the moment, but let's not go into that. Because you know very well that the pictures in magazines are airbrushed, right? The pictures in magazines, in billboards, they're airbrushed. They're using oftentimes girls who are pretty much anorexic, right? Let's just speak the truth here. They also use male bodies for certain ads where you only see legs, for example. Naomi Wolf highlighted that in The Beauty Myth, where actually adverts for stockings were using men's legs because they were thinner and less fleshy at the top. Most women's bodies have flesh at the top of the thighs, yeah, right? And the kinds of women used in modeling and magazines are, I would say, I was going to say unnaturally, but of course nothing is unnatural because there are, you know, infinite variations in nature. But what I would say is that they represent a very small minority with a particular body shape that is not normative. If you want to look at averages of, you know, body sizes or clothes sizes that are sold in the shops, these models don't represent that. And they're also very young. Again, they're not representing the majority, but they're held up as this ideal so that women feel insecure and spend a lot of money on makeup, on clothes, on treatments for being overweight, right? And all of these things. So it creates this eternal insecurity, this eternal sense of I'm not good enough, I'm not beautiful enough, I'm not thin enough, I'm not busty enough, I'm not. Well, actually now it's switched, because I used to get teased about having a big bum by my family and well, not so much by my friends, actually mostly by my family. Although my nickname at school was Bum Drum. So I had not a complex, that's too strong, but I definitely thought my bum was too big, right? Now it's all changed and my kids keep telling me, Mum, I mean, not that I go on about it now, but like, Mum, you've got such an awesome bum. And that's apparently really fashionable now. And apparently women have surgery to enhance their bums. It just makes me laugh. You know, well, like, oh dear, you know, it's sad and it's funny as far as I'm concerned, these cosmetic things that people do to themselves. Okay, so we have the body, and then we have, that's another part of it. And then the other thing is, I'm not woman enough. What this can then lead women to do is to think that they have to alter their appearance to fit this ideal, right? So cosmetic surgery, dieting, all this bullshit, which is not to say I am in any way against healthy living. I definitely embrace healthy living, right? Yeah, so trying to change who you are externally, it's never going to work. You can have all the cosmetic surgery in the world. You can be an ideal weight. And if you haven't embraced your feminine on the inside and understood what that really means, nothing is going to change in how you feel about yourself and how you relate with others, right? So, and then the final thing is your role models. So what a lot of women have ended up doing is becoming more masculine to compete in a world. Well, two things. Women have become more masculine to compete in the world because they see the masculine having the power and having the success. So the belief then is, okay, I need to emulate the way he is being to have power and success. So women become more masculine in their ways. And the other way that women go is to become more active in their shadow feminine. So they use their sexuality and their bodies to manipulate and to get what they want, to trade, to exchange. These are all shadow expressions of the feminine that go hand in hand with the shadow masculine. Surprise, surprise, right? I'm just going to read this comment. That ideal changes so much. It wasn't long ago that Marilyn Monroe was thought perfect shape. Exactly. Yeah, and because I'm an anthropologist, you know, I've studied beauty and culture in different cultures. And you can see really quickly that ideals of beauty are completely culturally defined. There are some, what's the word? I can't think of the word right now, but there are some kind of rules, which is like symmetry is one cross-cultural definition of beauty. But if you go to different countries and different continents, you'll see that the notions of beauty are so different. Yeah, so like when I was in Asia, people were laughing at my nose because they thought my nose was so pointy and big, right? And I also want you to understand that where I am in my own evolution and my own self right now is I'm really not attached. I'm not attached to what people think of me. I'm not attached to how I look. I look in the mirror and I see this face. You know, I see the blemishes. I see all the things, and it's not. I'm not attached to it. I'm just not attached to it anymore. It is what it is, and it's beautiful and it's divine. But it's like it's not the defining quality of my worth and my beingness, right? And I know this. Look, I've worked with women for 20 years. I've worked with all kinds of women, all kinds of body shapes. I've worked with models and women who are incredibly perfect, you know, in every way. Like I've looked at them and I thought, oh my God, just look at her. And like I've been open-mouthed in astonishment at her beauty. So insecure, so disconnected from her body, so lacking awareness, so out of touch with sensations, so disconnected from her Shakti energy. It doesn't make the blindest bit of difference how you look. And, you know, I just feel like I have to keep saying this again and again and again. Now, the thing is, right, all of this is about thinking in the immature masculine way, which I understand it's a programming and it takes time to deprogram yourself. But all of this is about your value being defined from outside you. So basing it on what others are doing, what others are saying, what others are thinking, what you've been programmed to believe from the external. As we reclaim our divine feminine, as we embody our true feminine, right? This external is no longer relevant. So going back to my client who I've been working with, those men, I am sure that a part of their choice was based on, I'm not going to contradict myself, just listen carefully. It was based for those men partially on the external appearance of the women that they switched to. However, that is because those men are operating at very low levels of consciousness and they are stuck in the base and the sacral chakras. They are stuck in lust and they are stuck in a lack of awareness. And for them, they're very much the immature masculine where status, looks, superficie, is important. These are like, bully masculine, tyrant masculine, who are all about the way things look. And so to have a very beautiful woman on their arm is part of their status for them. The way those men treated my client was abusive, disrespectful, unkind, lacking respect. So if you see it in the bigger picture, the reason they also left her was because they were no longer a resonance. They were no longer a vibrational match because she's on the spiritual path. And of course, when a woman begins to embrace that aspect of herself, a man of lower consciousness is going to vibrate out of her field. Do you want to be with a man who acts and thinks like that? The programming of making your value dependent upon the external is strong. I get it. But where we're going in this awakening of our Shakti is to be completely self-validating, completely self-fulfilled, completely self-empowered. So whatever the external is doing or saying makes no difference because we know so deeply and so profoundly who and what we are. We embody it. We're not just thinking it. You cannot embrace your divine feminine and be it in the world without embodying it. This is not an intellectual exercise. It's an embodied process that is always ongoing, right? So of course those men exist in the world, but as we embrace our Shakti and we vibrate that, they just vibrate out of our lives. And then there's the space for us to begin to attract and magnetize a different level of man who is embodying his more awakened, more conscious, more mature masculine with whom we are then a match, because we're doing that inner work for ourselves to let go of all those old beliefs. And so, am I woman enough is a question that just doesn't even enter in to the equation, because you begin to understand through the experience of embodying your awakened sexual energy that has got nothing to do with the external of you. Which is not to say, and this is kind of, there's this paradox, the more that you embody it, and I know you're going to be saying, what is it? And I'm going to tell you in a minute. What is it? The more you, pardon me, just had to burp. The more you embody her, the more you are going to glow, the more you are going to radiate, the more magnetic you are without trying to be. Look at me, right? Okay, I'm going to use myself as an example. I'm 57. I'm a mum. I've had 2 children. I live a beautiful life of tantric and yogic practice. And this way of living, of teaching tantra, of teaching embodied awareness, is what keeps me vital, sensual, juicy, alive, vibrant, magnetic, insightful, wise, expanded, a channel, right? There's no thought that comes into my mind ever of, am I woman enough? How could that thought even enter in? I am a channel, a vessel for Shakti, as are you. There's nothing special about me. I'm no different to any other soul on this earth, on this planet. The only difference is that I've dedicated my life to these practices. So, what is it, this essence of woman? What is the essence of woman? What is that? How can you embody that? How can you be it? Well, here's the journey. You begin by daily practice of embodiment, by daily practice of connecting with your sexual energy as a force for awakening. You begin to clear the trauma, the wounding, the shadows of the patriarchy from your body. You can only do this through embodiment practices. Yoga, tantra, dance, massage, body work, energy healing, meditation. All the practices that I offer, they're all a part of this deprogramming and embodying and awakening. As you begin to clear your body of all of these imprints, which are there layer by layer, chakra by chakra, from the root up, starting at the very root. I don't deserve to be here. I am not good enough. I am not worthy. These are all in the base chakras. I'm not woman enough. It will be in your womb. All the wounds from the relationships that you've had with men who had this negative imprint and the disconnect from the feminine. All of the times men have mistreated you, not to blame men, you have allowed it because you have been living with this imprint of, I need this for myself to be value. I need to be desired to be of value. I need to get male attention to be of value. I'm going to use my body and my sexuality to manipulate, to make myself feel better because I'm lonely. Every time you've done that, that needs to be cleared, and we fill what is being cleared out with the energy of Shakti. The energy of Shakti is your Kundalini energy that rises from the base and fills your body from below. Again and again, we awaken this energy. Again and again, we flow this energy through our bodies. We devote ourselves to pleasure. Pleasure for ourselves, not to manipulate, not to get, not to cling. Pleasure, because that's what we are. As we fill our bodies with ecstasy, with pleasure, with joy, with delight, with sexually awakened energy, what was from the old is cleared out, and we begin to embody this energy more and more. And every time you fill your body with her, you remember, this is how it feels to be woman. This is how it feels. And it has got nothing to do with your age, your shape, your color, your boobs, your vag, your lips, none of it. None of it. It's got nothing to do with the external. As you embody this through your journey, through your practice, you will be fully woman. Fully, fully, fully woman. And that resonance will change everything in your life. You may lose friends, you may lose partners, you may vibrate away from lovers, right? And there may be a phase where there's nobody taking that place and you begin to doubt yourself and you're like, shit, I've done all this inner work, I've awakened my Shakti, I'm embodying the divine feminine. Where have they gone now? There may be that as part of this journey. But the other choice is to stay stuck in the limiting beliefs. The beliefs that keep you small. Can you not see that these beliefs, like I am not woman enough, just let that thought run through your head for a moment and see how it makes you feel. It cuts you off from your power. It cuts you off from your shine, from your radiance. It cuts you off from your gifts, because your soul gifts that you're born here to offer into the world right now, they come through your embodiment of the feminine. They come through you being fully in deep sensory awareness in your flesh and blood, through being connected to your womb space, your heart space, your opened heart space, right? Your feminine is about love, creativity, sensuality, embodiment, pleasure, joy, connection, relating, channeling wisdom, channeling insight, healing with hands and herbs and crystals, speaking light language. This and these are the many blessings of the feminine. Embodying the priestess, embodying the Dakini, being there to initiate men, initiating other women into this wisdom. This is what the divine feminine can bring through for you, and there's nothing special that's required. It is an embodied pathway of reconnection and remembering. You cannot do this intellectually. So, I am not woman enough. Let's just take that out and replace it with the truth, which is the minute you connect to your body and your sexuality and your divine feminine self, you are connected with the infinite power of Shakti. Shakti energy is infinite. It's never ending. It's immense. It's magnificent. It's as vast as the universe and the cosmos. You fill your body with that. How can you ever not be enough? It doesn't make any sense. Doesn't make any sense. It's a programming. It's a programming that is dying out and off. It's gone now. So I hope this has inspired you, and I've inspired myself in sharing. I love doing these lives. If you want to, if anything that I've touched anything I've said has touched something for you, put your questions underneath, put your comments underneath. Let's get a dialogue going. And then I'm going to refer you to a couple of things if this calls you to this hunger for more. Number one thing, my book, Rapture, A Guide to Sexual and Spiritual Awakening for Women. Buy it. It's only $12.99 at the moment on Amazon. This amazing resource. It encapsulates my 20 years of journeying through Tantra, yoga, and awakening for women. So, and it's full of practices and meditations for you to do, right? It's not intellectual. Buy my book, Rapture, A Guide to Sexual and Spiritual Awakening for Women. Take the course, Rapture, and I've got two courses, a small course, which is called A Taste of Rapture, and then a much longer, deeper course called Rapture. So 2 levels, one's a taster and one's the full Monty, the big deep dive. I'll put the links for those underneath, and then you can also choose to work with me one-to-one. If this is an area that you want to deepen in, if you want to expand in, come on, let's do it. I love this work, you know, I love it. This is my calling. Thank you for watching. Thank you for listening, and have a really juicy Friday and a juicy weekend. And by the way, if you're still watching, I'm doing a Dancing the Goddess on Sunday. Come and join me. All the details are there to be found. Loads of love, and see you soon.